in this life, we all want money, success, all the things that come with it, the lifestyle, the vanity, the cars, the houses, everything. But I feel like truly everybody who's rich tells you that money doesn't make them happy. Money just solves money problems, right? And I think what we all truly want is freedom, autonomy, the ability to work when we wanted to work on the things we wanted to actually work on that's fulfilling for us, to make money when we wanted, how we wanted, and however much we wanted, right? I think freedom is actually the key goal or desire of everyone who is alive, pretty much. Like it, I feel like we all want freedom, but that would really make life worth living. And if you've ever been in a sort of endeavor that allows you to work on things that you actually enjoy and grow at the pace that you want to grow at, like the gym, you will truly understand why autonomy is truly everything, and why something like escaping the 9 to 5 is so detrimental, and something that I think about so heavily, because the way I have autonomy in my health and taking care of myself and my physique and my body, I want that same sort of style in terms of my wealth, in terms of how I make money, how I grow, how I develop my skills and knowledge. And so it's so important to understand how to get to that level. How do I know that I'm on the path to freedom? And from my experience and from what I've seen and from what I've read, if you can understand these 3 concepts, these 3 rules, I think, and you just apply them to your life, it's very hard not to eventually get freedom or the success that you want. And the first one is obtaining knowledge. I think this is so key, right? All the books that you read, all these successful people telling you read books, it's not for no reason, right? Of course, and you have to also be reading the right books. Don't be reading like fiction books and like Diary of a Wimpy Kid or something, right? You can read it for entertainment purposes, but this is not what's going to set you on the path, right? You need to be reading self-education books that will teach you about business, about money, finances, self-development, psychology, things of that nature, right? And so when you read these books, you're getting all this information and wisdom from authors who've lived life, who have their success, who have the life that you want, and you're essentially taking their life experiences, which they compress into a book, and you're absorbing it, right? So you're essentially living not their life, but you're observed, like the information they gather throughout their life. As you live life, you gather information, you become more knowledgeable, right? And so what they do is they take the most important parts of their lives, or the things that they feel were most impactful, and they pack it up into a book, and you're able to just digest it, right? And if you can truly understand it, you have essentially lived another person's life. You've obtained very important wisdom or information from them, and it starts opening up your mind to such things that you just wouldn't think of beforehand, right? It's like, think of it like a mastermind, right? When you are by yourself, you're just living life, you don't read books, you simply are thinking through life through only your brain. But when you start reading books from all these very successful people and successful authors, you're able to almost go through life with their lens as well, through their brain. And when you combine all of it, your brain becomes a mastermind, right? And so it's just so important for you to obtain information, really educate yourself, because you start seeing opportunities that you wouldn't have seen before, right? That's number 1. Second is avoiding substances. And this is like avoiding mindless substances, right? In this day and age, people are abusing all different types of substances. And this could be from partying, alcohol, drugs, even something like watching TikTok, porn, right? Like these are all substances that are literally mindless. They're killing your brain. There's no long-term benefits to them, right? They're all short-term gratification instead of long-term satisfaction, right? And you gotta always think in that sort of mindset. Is this gonna help me in the long term, or is this gonna help me in the short term, right? And those short-term pleasures are never worth it, right? They always wear off so quickly. You go on, you might work your job, get your paycheck, and then you spend half that money on the club and alcohol, and it's all temporary. You're at the club for a couple hours, you're drunk for a couple hours, and then all your problems come back to surface level, and you just have less money, you're tired, you have all these extra problems because you went in for these short-term pleasures. And so even if it's like sleeping around, right? Sleeping around, right? You're spending all your time and energy chasing these women, chasing these guys, or whatever it may be, when all of this time and energy and resources can be allocated towards really building yourself, right? The money that you're spending on these girls, you could be spending on a book, you could be spending on a gym membership, you can buy a course, whatever it may be. It's like, I know it sounds lame, but that's exactly, like, it sounds lame, it sounds boring, but it's what gets you the success. That's exactly how it happens. These successful people who have these very boring routines and habits, it's for a reason. That's what breeds them. That's what makes them get the success. Success is boring, it's lonely, but it's like, if that's what you want success, you want freedom, that's the cost you have to pay. It's the cost of doing business, right? And the last one is, don't conform to society. I remember watching this video a long time ago, and sometimes I'll watch videos and it will really resonate with me, but I don't truly understand what he's saying, but I know what he's saying is very important. He brought up this idea that if you truly want to be rich and successful, you need to be someone who's contrarian, which essentially just means someone who goes against everybody else. You're the 1% versus the 99%, right? You think completely different. You believe that what you are set out to achieve, you will achieve it, even though you're getting all this doubt and hate, right? Like the idea of like Columbus, right? Like he believed that he was gonna go discover a country, or the country, right? He knew that he was gonna be able to find something, right? And everybody's like, oh no, everything's been discovered already, this, that, and the third, right? But he genuinely believed, he was a contrarian, right? He had the contrarian idea, and he set out to believe it, he pursued it, and he actually achieved it, right? You need to act. It's not just believing it, you actually obviously have to take action and go and achieve the thing, but you need to not conform to society. In the book I'm also reading right now, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, right? He talks about this idea of social proof, and right in the book they talk about the idea that social proof really takes precedent when uncertainty is shown. And so when people feel uncertain, they typically do what everybody else is doing, right? And so in the real world scenario, everybody is uncertain about their future. They don't know if they're gonna get rich. They don't know if they're gonna be successful. So what do? They all do. They take the same similar path of go to school, get a job, and retire. But none of them are waking up. None of them are realizing that the amount of money they'll make in this job is not the amount of money that they actually want to ever make. They'll never become a millionaire from these jobs. They'll never be free from these jobs. They'll always have to work and put in the hours. Retirement is insecure. And it's like, they don't want to take the other path of like entrepreneurship and business where the amount of money you make is more dependent on you, right? Because they want to stick to the safe, similar route that everybody else is telling them to go on. But it's like, that route is bound to fail. You will not get free and success from that route. It's impossible. It's there's like less than a 1% chance that you have one of these high end jobs at these like really big tech companies. But even then, it's like, it would take years for you to get there, and you would still be having to input a certain amount of time, probably 70, 80, 90-hour weeks in these high-end jobs. So it's like, is that really the life you want? Is that the job you want, to make someone else money, to make someone else rich, to make someone else more successful and free, building their assets rather than your own? It's like, you need to wake up. You need to realize these things. If you can understand these 3 principles I just said, you are on the path to freedom. It won't happen anytime soon, but it will happen eventually. And that's all you can really just focus on. Focus on the journey. The outcome will come as long as you just do what needs to be done. And in the end, we're all gonna fucking win.